Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's Reddit Quickie from the subreddit HFY, called The Logistics War, written by Regal Legal. The link to the original will be down below. And, as always, I hope that you enjoy. Asteroid Belt 342-TW Sector 23-A. Population 13,432. Average age 52. Monthly tonnage quota 103% complete. Can't believe how much we're getting to haul these rocks in now. How was this sort of pay when I was just getting started? When they first set the quota, then I called bullcrap. Then they told us that the bonus was for beating it, and I swear half of these fat sacks of crap never worked so hard in their lives. Billy Big Mac McIntyre was grumbling over the comms as he kept his tugboat on course. His longtime friend Nanny Augustin just snorted. Is that so? Speaking of fat sacks of crap who've never worked so hard before, don't think I haven't noticed that you've beat every previous monthly record that you've ever set for yourself, Nanny mentioned to Big Mac. Yeah, well, like I said, the pay is better, he muttered and checked their time to target. Mobile Foundry Vessel Broker. Crew compilation 3052. Average age 43. Current monthly production output 73,304 tons. Assorted copper, steel, aluminium, titanium, and lithium. Arena Goldwater held her stopwatch before her, looking from it to the window in the line of convoy ships hooked up to the docking bridges. Miss Hensley informed the convoy commander that there has exactly 45 seconds to disembark and proceed on the scheduled route, or he will be late. If he's late by even a second, his tardiness will delay the entire war effort. This is unacceptable. Yes, Miss Goldwater. The docking bridges weren't designed to be such heavy use. Mr. Ntemba has having to repair the extension arms much more frequently, and the loaders are having trouble keeping up with the stress levels. Irina coldly looked over her secretary, who shrank back under her writhing glare for a moment. Then keep the docking bridges extended at all times. Assign production teams 34, 55, and 67 to start building rail systems through each of the docking bridges to more easily move the material onto the convoy ships, she said before glancing back at her stopwatch. 30 seconds now. But ma'am, if we assign 3 production teams to that sort of work, our production output will drop to a level that's still within tolerable parameters. More importantly, we'll develop an easier transit system for our materials. Miss Hensley, increased production counts are nothing if we can't get the shipyards and factories where they're needed on time. As I said, the convoy is even 1 second late, production will stop. If even for 1 second, that will mean 1 second in which some factory or shipyard is not producing, and in a war, Miss Hensley, every second counts. Her secretary nodded quickly. Yes, ma'am. Production teams 34, 55, and 67. Right away, ma'am. As her secretary scurried off, Irene looked back at her stopwatch and then out to the convoy ships. 15 seconds to go. She did appreciate that the captains wanted to load up as much as they could, but she had a schedule to keep and her own ship operating too. Then she saw the first ship disengage just as the others began to follow suit. They had 6 seconds to spare, and she made a note to decrease the next loading cycle by 6 seconds. Light cruiser Helena, Hammerhead class, crew complement 888, average age 30, production time pre-war 4 months, current production time 28 days, production rate 1 per week. Damn, 12 hours leave? What's the fricking point? Trevor snorted as he heard Gutierrez complaining. Not enough time to get drunk or nothing. And the line for the brothel's gotta be like hours long. What's the point? Who wants to take a number for that stuff? Chief, seriously, what's the fricking point? Chief Petty Officer Leon Travers glanced at his wayward seaman apprentice. Well, my good little Latin seaman, the group chuckled softly as a little nickname. We're being given one last chance to eat some hot food that's had all the flavor cooked out of it, according to the Navy regulations. One last beer, and probably one last quick hand job from a lady, or ladyboy of your choice. There was a few more chuckles, because in 13 hours we will no longer be escorting a convoy ships, but troop ships. Holy crap, are we finally moving out? He heard Tanaka ask, to which he nodded. I heard it myself. The relief fleet is ready. Admiral Patch is finally giving us the go-ahead. They say this'll be the point where we start taking the initiative. But I think they've said that like 4 or 5 times by now. They were walking down the docking bridge and onto the station itself, where Tanaka spoke up again and pointed out of the windows. Look, is that one of the new Tiger Shark class? The others all began to crowd around the window to look across the void at the heavy cruiser that was slowly pulling away from the shipyard. Why is it so dull? That's just a primer, Tanaka. You think they're gonna spare heat paint on a heavy cruiser? It's probably not even cleared for atmosphere. No, sir. That fancy paint job that Helena got is going to be a thing of the past. Coat of primer is good enough for space. Paint is a luxury that we can ill afford at a critical hour. The others chuckled and mimicked the skipper's accent at the end. And we can ill afford to waste time getting the beers and whores. He kept making them laugh a bit harder. Onward, into the breach, he shouted, and then he began to lead them down the gangplank once more. Stricken Station, part of the Bastion orbital shipyards. Civilian population 102,450. Average age 38. Military population classified. Average age 26. Much has been said about the President's proclamation of not one more rock. Would you care to comment about that, Admiral? She tried not to glare too much at the bright light from the camera set before her, but she knew that at the best of times she still looked at least mildly pissed off. I'd say that we've been given a lot of blood to ensure the proclamation holds true, and so far it has. Since it was issued 1 month ago, we have not lost one more rock, not a planet, not a moon, not a single asteroid. And for that we've lost hundreds of fighters, dozens of bombers, and 24 ships. That doesn't even begin to count the cost in human lives, both in space and on the ground currently fighting on KTX 113. Nor does it count the loss of lives and resources we have in the year leading up to our current refusal to lose any more territory. Those figures should give everyone an idea how serious we are at living up to the proclamation and holding our ground. She nodded then. So, you're saying that we've spent considerable resources and lives to hold onto a rock without a name? She frowned at the fresh-faced news reporter when he asked her that. She began to realize this wasn't a network that supported the war, despite the fact that humans didn't start it. KTX 113 may not have an official name yet, but it is a planet, not just a rock, a planet that held a small colony before the war and can sustain human life. Ground forces have been on the planet for 4 months already, holding off everything that the enemy can throw at them. This is not just how holding the ground, but relieving those brave soldiers and their unending resistance in the face of extreme hostility. She figured that might get them to relent, but it seemed that the reporter had some unending resistance to him as well. So, despite our losses so far in the war, you feel confident that we can continue to hold our ground, on KTX 113 and across the front. She was about to growl out the reply when she saw bombers starting to fly by the window and then pointed at them. That is a supply mission headed to KTX 113 right now. After we landed Marines on the planet and then the Navy had to retreat 4 months ago, our enemy maintained a complete and total superiority of space around the planet. 2 months ago, we managed to contest their control, and even now the battle for the space around the planet continues. We are able to get supplies to our Marines thanks to hundreds of bombers just like those completing mission after mission. So, do you think that we can hold our ground? No, I think we can do better. I think before long the proclamation will become one more rock, as in we've just taken one more rock back from the invader. And before long we'll be pushing into their territory and making them fight on the defensive. Now, you'll have to excuse me, I've got a war to wage. B-23 Citadel Bomber, crew complement 12, average age 22, production time 1 week, production rate 1 per hour. You know what kills me about this job? As soon as Tanya heard that, she knew that one way or another her tail gunner wouldn't let up until someone asked him what killed him about the job. But for now she hoped no one would give in. That, if they all stayed quiet, they could weather this tyrannical rule over the comms as an avenue for assault their ears with his voice. And sure enough, no one else did until a minute later, when he spoke again. I said, "You know what kills me about this job?" When she saw her co-pilot reach for the mic button on his headset, she shook her head. "Don't do it. You're just giving in to his demands. We don't negotiate with terrorists." But Matthew just stared back at her. "So, do you want to wait until he does one of those eagle screeches again?" Tanya groaned at that and shook her head, so Matthew unmuted himself on his headset. "What, Eli? What kills you? What about the job, may I ask?" "It's lopsided hours." Tanya frowned at the end and tried to piece together what he meant. She looked over at Matthew, who was also obviously trying to piece it together. Then, when the flight timer beeped at her, she had tapped a few buttons to turn it off. Then she activated her own mic. "We're 20 minutes out, everyone. Be alert. We know hostiles are in the AO." "Okay, so what do you mean by lopsided hours?" she finally asked. "It took us, 9 hours to get here from the Strickland. We've got another 20 minutes to the planet. We drop our bombs, supplies, Reggie, the bombardier, corrected. Right, supplies, and then another 9 hours back. Why is what we've got 18 hours of sheer mind-numbing boredom, and then like an hour of pure terror. Can't we work like a trivia game while we fly? Or Scrabble, or something? I mean, there's like a dozen bombers in the wing, right? We let the flight leaders be the judge, and the rest of us sing to compete for the best voice in the squadron." The frick! Tanya couldn't even hold that back, which made some of the others in the comms chuckle. "Are you stoned?" "No, I'm not stoned. You'd think I'd be bored if I was stoned. There's another idea. Let us bring some joints on board. We can get tobacco, but no pot. How fracked up is that? I mean, damn, they give us the amphetamine straight up. That's because we don't want downers. We need to be alert. Uppers, Eli, uppers." Tanya hissed out, annoyed with the tail gunner, as she shook her head. "What the hell would I do if you frecked up and we got a bogey on our tail, huh? Or worse yet, an oracle. We haven't seen one of those in a week. I mean, sure, a month ago, maybe things would be more interesting before we got you. But now with the Navy battling them on the far side of the gas giant, we're free to clear until we hit the 20-minute mark." "Which we just hit," Tanya stressed. "So fricking stay focused. Intel says that we've got some carriers around and—" She cut off as a squadron channel cut into her feed over her headset. "Oracle spotted at 8 o'clock, closing in fast. Alpha and Delta peel left and taken on. Everyone else adjust formation blue 15. "Well, Eli, there is an oracle this time, so, like I said, shut up and stay alert." She began to shift her citadel out of the rest of her flight to rearrange the remaining bombers into the new formation. Now they were out of the edge of things and often got interesting. She looked out as she watched Alpha and Delta move out to take it on. Oracles were something like corvettes, too light to take on any bigger Navy ships, but perfect to hit bombers. Usually it took 16 citadels to take one Oracle down, so 24 bombers here headed out to fight it, and more than 8 came back. They were lucky. "Is it true that they say about those things?" she heard her Betty gunner ask. "What's that, Curie?" she asked. "That they're really high-tech." Tanya nodded as she heard that. "Sure is. They're very high-tech, and I've had the misfortune to see one up close. They're also gorgeous, a work of art, honestly. The time and skill that they put into those things. Hell, all of the ships and bombers and fighters and stuff. Those are all lots of work. But that's why we see less of them every day." "Why is that?" Curie asked, obviously curious. "Because we make stuff that's plain and drab. And you know why?" She didn't wait for an answer. "Because it's functional and easy to produce. It takes like months, maybe even a year to make one of those. And we're riding in a low-bid bucket of bolts to get cranked down constantly. So yes, I will likely be able to kill 16 of our bombers before it goes down. But when we first started flying out this way, they roved in packs, 5, 6. One terrible night there was a full dozen. And now there's one. Just one coming at us. Yeah, well, they've still got fighters. I'm counting 18 bogeys incoming. Tanya cursed as a radar operator spoke up. I see some of them, Curie shouted, and then Tanya saw a flash on her screen and the Betty gunner opened up. Then her port gunner. She looked at her flight clock once more. 17 minutes until drop. But as she kept focus on flying, she could hear the voices of a crew jumbled up over the comms. It was hard for her to even tell who was saying what. 4 swept past, coming around again. I got it, frick! I missed it. Overhead, they're hitting Nelson. Whew, I frickin' got one. Tanya kept glancing at the indicators on her flight panel, and the hostile fighters zipped overhead. In front, below, and across her vision, each of the turret's ammo counters was steadily rolling down, even as she saw some of the bombers ahead of her and to the sides take fire. The void around them filled with bright flashes of tracers fire and return fire, but the planet ahead of them was getting larger by the second. Damn! That's one just rammed Ramirez. Holy frick, Ramirez is breaking apart. Curie, swing one left about to pass by. I got it. Hit on target. Damn! It's still flying, but it's limping. More contacts from above. I see them. They're coming for us, but I see them. Damn! 2 from the left. Who's left? She felt the bomber shudder a little and could hear the round slamming into them through the hole somewhere. She saw a flashing red on her screen. Reggie, I've got warning lights down. She started, but he cut in. Patching, already patching. She was about to say more when there was a flash ahead of her and Thatcher's bomber exploded. Damn! She cursed and turned her yoke hard to avoid the wreckage even as she heard bits and pieces clink and clank off the sides of her bomber. Her eyes flicked back to the ammo counters as more fighters kept zipping by. Straight up from me. Tracking, yeah. Just die! Bogey down. There's still 20 more, keep fricking shooting. That one clipped Nina's wing. Frick, I lost it, I found it. 3 o'clock, low. On them, passing under. 8 o'clock, low and high, low to high. I'm a little fricking busy right now. Tanya felt her stick shudder again and saw more flashes. The engine 3's coolant link took a hit. Matthew informed her. Monitoring, but it should be fine for now. Engine 2 took a hit somewhere. It's losing power. Get it working, she growled as she looked back at her clock. 9 minutes left. Frick! She needed that engine back. Coming across our rear. Take it, you frick! Lisa, watch it. Tanya winced as she heard a scream from the comm then. Frick! Right through my leg. Ah! I'm okay. The suit is sitting around it. I'm okay. Frick! Damn! Turret's fine. We're fine. Tanya! Matthew was gasping out, even as she saw Ross start to veer in front of her as his bomber began to break up. She had to yank back hard on the stick to pull them up and over the debris, but once more she could hear the impacts of the debris bouncing off her bombers. Oh, damn. Engine 2 sucked something in. I gotta cycle it, or it'll blow. Frick, she hissed, as they lost an engine completely then. Red line 1 and 4. She pushed them forward to get back into formation and to keep them from falling behind as she watched her clock. I'm stuck, aiming straight. Turret's controls not responding. Well, if they fly right in front of us, shoot them. That's not really... Frick, firing. I knew you had it in you. Where the hell did that... There was a loud crashing sound, and then she saw a bright red warning light flash on the bomber's port side. Nate! She tried, but got no response. I'm on it, Antonio said, who was already moving to check, it seemed. Prepping supply drop, she heard Reggie say as she noticed that they were down to 5 minutes from target. Now she began to pull up and fly parallel with the planet instead of into it. Damn, motor must have been hit. Manual crank on bomb bay doors. She saw a flash indicator as the doors were opening. Thankfully, there was no drag in space, and the bomber wasn't pressurized for this reason. I got the port aft turret open. Nate's alive, out cold, but alive. I'm dragging him to the med pod. Lining up and drop targeting computer. 3 more straight above us. 2 across. Holy frick. Those 2 just took each other out. Small freaking favors. Even so, she heard the impact of more rounds and saw more flashes on a screen. Each of the turret's ammo counters were dropping lower and lower. "Tanya, we have to stop redlining 1 and 4, Matthew stressed, but she just hissed back. "Once we drop." Target found, confirming. "Oh damn, Natsuri's gone. One of them just smashed right into her. I count 6 and 4 o'clock high. No, 5, 4, yeah, way to go, bravo. Frack him up." "Did anyone see where the frack the red one went?" "I see it, spinning end over end. He's out." Damn. That, hell yes, I frickin' got you." Hi, over your back." "I see him." "Damn, they split. Frick, I didn't get either one." She kept watching the clock wind down. 60 seconds. 45. The crew was still young and screaming at one another. 30. Matthew was demanding that they stop redlining 1 and 4, but she was ignoring him. 15 seconds. More impacts, more flashes. Someone else was screaming. Dropping supplies. There was a shudder. She yanked up hard on the stick. "Matthew, drop 1 and 4 in screen, Reggie. Get those fricking doors closed. Head count." "Everyone's good, but Nate, he's in the pod stable." She sighed as the fighters immediately began to peel off. The supplies were away. They hadn't stopped the drop. They were retreating. For a few minutes they sat in silence, everyone tending their wounds, fixing their turrets, and otherwise doing their jobs. Right up until Eli spoke. Was it just me, or were there less of them today than yesterday? Tanya sighed as she looked at her flight clock. 9 hours and 18 minutes back to base. "Shut the frick up, Eli." Hell, 290 Murder Mountain, Planet KTX 113. 8th Marine Division. Current combat strength 48% effective. Additional 22% operational, but ineffective. Average age 19. Time since deployment 128 days 5 hours. Most effective armament MG-85. Production time 24 hours. Production rate 1 per 5 minutes. Weight 10.5 kilograms. Rate of fire 1,750 RPM. Muzzle velocity 1,000 meters per second. Max effective range 1,200 meters. Ammunition 7.92 by 57 millimeters. Rate of production 12 million rounds per day. Runner, where the frick is my ammo? Sergeant T.J. Latsky, forward CP Bloodbridge, was down to his last half a belt by now. "Runner! Coming! He could hear the footsteps behind him, but he didn't look back as he kept his eyes trained on the razor wire line ahead of him. Or what was left of it. He had to run out twice this hour to shove bodies off of the little strings of sharp metal that did a pathetic job of keeping hostiles back. Even now, in the middle of the dark, they were out there, ready for another wave. How the frick can we beat these guys, Sarge? They just keep coming. He glanced at his loader, PFC Norden. They keep charging, they keep attacking. They don't fricking stop. How do we beat these guys? The runner dropped into the foxhole behind him. Then, and despite his worried talk, Norden quickly took the offered belts and got ready to reload the MG when Latsky was done with his half a belt. How do we beat these guys, Norden? He started to reply, but then he heard a pop of a flare as he hunkered down behind the gun once more. Out ahead of him, figures in the dark paused as they were already halfway across the field between the trees and razor wire. He leaned down close to his gun. Authority of the dirt and narrow tree trunk laid over the top of his foxhole for protection. Contact! No, duh. Someone down the line called out with the Marines open fire. Latsky squeezed the trigger hard as he watched the bullets sail out across the field, slamming into the hostiles across from them. As soon as he ran dry, Norden was reloading the bolt, and then, a few seconds later, he was firing again. By now, they were just running across the field. He could hear that battle cry, even over the deafening fire of the machine guns. Those that hit the razor wire, just like all those who came before them, would just jump onto it, knocking it down for those who came after to cross it. Swing left, Norden was yelling, so the Lasky shifted to his fire to left, hitting another section of the screaming and running hostiles as they charged. As soon as his belt was through, Norden was loading yet another one, and had chambered the first round before yanking the trigger yet again. He'd gone through 2 belts by now when Norden was slapping his helmet. Swing right! When he started to swing right, he realized that he wouldn't move it far enough and quickly reached up hissing, as he did before he picked up the front of the bipod, pulling it out of the firing position that he'd made and hefting it up onto the tree trunk. They were using for cover, so that he could swing it over more. The bipod was useless, but he didn't need to be very accurate, and he began firing the next breakthrough to the right. Soon he was out yet again, and Norden was quick with another bolt, as he almost never let his finger off the trigger once he chambered the first round of the new bolt. Now, standing up, he could see the barrel glowing red as he fired, steam coming off of the weapon as he began to wonder if he was going to melt the fricking thing. Norden was yelling something and slapping his helmet, but it wasn't until he heard a shotgun go off right next to his ear that he even looked. Norden had his shotgun raised and firing even as the aliens charged straight at him. Lasky saw one rise above her, a rifle in hand, bayonet glittering in what little light there was. He let go of his MG so that he could lean back, drawing his sidearm and firing it even as the alien leapt out at them. The first bullet went into its chest, the second through his forehead and on his back, while the third and fourth made more of a mess in the alien's face. He felt something sharp stab through along his shoulder, and the alien's hands were already going limp as the rifle stunk back onto the ground next to his shoulder. Lasky leaned forward quickly, and he grabbed the MG to swing it straight forward before pulling the trigger yet again. The gun bucked in his grip, with the bipod uselessly flailing about up front of the barrel, and jerked and squirmed in his grip. But he didn't stop, not until the belt finally ran dry once more. "Out!" he called. "No more," Norden replied. "That was it, Sarge." Lasky drew his sidearm once more, but as he looked ahead he didn't see any more targets rushing forward. The firing died down all along the line now, and he felt that he could finally breathe once more. He looked over and down at his left shoulder to see a gash where the bayonet had cut him, and then down at the faceless alien body between him and Norden. "How do we beat these guys, Norden?" he asked once more, and then he pulled the alien's weapon free from the dirt and the bayonet stuck into him. Truthfully, their weapons were beautiful, artwork along the sides. Some of the intricate designs along the stock, he'd never seen one that hadn't been personalized in some small way, each with their own story to tell. He pulled the magazine free and handed it to Norden, who looked at it. "It's empty," he asked, bewildered, as Lasky smiled and stood up and looked out over the field of dead, or soon-to-be-dead enemies. "This is how we win, Norden. We outlast them by outproducing them. That rifle? Hell, all of their stuff is fancy. They think of war as an art. They dedicate their lives to it. These wreckers were likely born for all this stuff." He waved to the field of dead before them. "And that's their mistake. They think that they need to study the art of war. But really, that's not how you win. Instead, you say, Feck the art of war and focus entirely on logistics of war. Because this guy might have spent 20 years learning to be a soldier instead of our 90 days. But a bullet kills you dead in less than a second, no matter who you are, no matter how long you've trained." He looked back at Norden and then to continue. 3 days ago, their military stopped firing. 2 days ago, their mortars stopped firing. Yesterday, I stopped hearing any of the machine guns. And today, he nudged the dead alien at his feet. Their rifles stopped firing, while ours. He looked behind him and saw another runner rushing towards them with ammo belts draped around his neck and ammo boxes in each hand. Ours did not. And that, my friends, is the end of this Reddit quickie. I hope that you enjoyed. If you'd like to support the channel or the author, all the stuff is down below. And as always, I hope that you guys have a good one, and I'll see you in the next story. Cheers.